Hello. Okay, so I showcased this card a couple days ago, and I've been asked for measurements on how to make it. I've also been asked to show how to mask the animals to get them in, so they're like kind of tucked in behind each other, and the technique to do that. So that's what this video is going to be. So here's the inside of the card, rounded the corners because the outside ones are rounded. So we're just going to do a walkthrough on how to make this card and how to mask in the animals so they all kind of fit in there. So there we go. Okay, so we're using the Wild Bunch set. I have the stamps right here. So we're mainly using the 4 little critters. You have the, I don't know, it looks like a Highland cow, the snail, the koala, and the penguin. So that's what we're going to do today. In terms of measurements, this is the gray piece for the screen, and it is 3 by 4 1/4. This is the inside of my card. This is like a scrap piece, so it's 5 by 3 1/2. 3 1/2, it's already pre-cut like that because that's the scrap part I have. So rather than cut anything different, it fits in there. It's just not, it just has a little bit more space around the card, which is fine because that's the inside anyway. This is your standard card base, so it'd be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm just gonna score it down. Score it there. And you have your standard card base. So I did make mine go this way. It flips up. Okay. One of the first things I did was I rounded the corners because that is something that is very noticeable on an Etch A Sketch is the rounded corners. And that's not kind of... There we go. Okay. Of course, my punch does not want to cooperate today for some reason. Okay, there we go. So we're just going to round all of these corners. There we go. I always punch mine upside down so I can see it. I want to see the thing. That's kind of what the front looks like. So all of our corners are rounded. We'll just get rid of the garbage. I'm also going to round the white for the inside as well, because I think it just looks nicer and fits better inside that card. So let's do that. And 4. Okay. So we have the inside, and I'm just going to go ahead and I usually glue those in right away. That's my usual go-to is to get that done and put inside. Usually right at the beginning. And I'm just going to line that up and making sure it's centered. Good enough. Okay. And then for now, I'm just going to set aside my card base. We don't need that as of right now. Next, we're going to do the masking. So I'm actually just going to put a scrap piece of paper underneath so I'm not getting ink all over the place. Again, this is the screen, so it's 3 by 4 1/4, and it will fit nicely on there. So to do the animals, I'm first going to stamp the snail. And the reason I'm picking the snail is because he's not covered by anything. There's nothing covering him. There's nothing blocking his view from the card. So I'm going to start with the snail. And I'm just taking black Memento ink. Put my snail on the block. We'll ink him up. And I'm just going to stamp him wherever you think. We're going to go right there. Okay. I'm going to clean the snail. And put him back on there. The next one I did is I just kind of went from left to right. So the next one I want to do is my koala. So I'm going to grab my koala. And I'm going to put him on my block. Okay, but if I were to stamp right over top of him, I'd be stamping on the snail's head. That doesn't work, right? So what I did is I took a scrap piece of thin, you don't want it cardstock thick because it it doesn't get as even as a job. So I just took a thin, like computer piece of paper, scrap, and I stamped out my animals that overlap, okay? And I cut them all out. So for the sake of the video, I won't say it. For the sake of the video, I cut them out already, but this is what just kind of what I stamped them on. And then for video purposes, I have the snail, the koala, and the penguin, okay? And they're just cut real close to the black line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my snail, because that's what I've already stamped. And I'm going to take him and I'm going to line him up so he goes right over top of where I've stamped that snail already, okay? I'm going to take my koala, ink him up, and I'm just going to line up wherever I want my koala to be, and I think right there, and stamp down. Okay, so when I remove my snail, I don't have anything on my stamp snail, but my koala is hidden in behind. So that's a neat little trick, okay? So I'm done with my snail. I can set him aside. The next, since I still have the koala out, I'm going to actually do this little koala down here, because he's also kind of up front and prominent on there. So I want to get him in there next. He kind of goes off the page, hence why we have the scrap paper underneath. And again, you can just kind of stamp him wherever you'd like. I have him going off the page a little bit. Actually, more than a little bit. You just see him kind of peeking in. His ear goes off, and the rest of his body goes off. Okay? So nothing needed to be masked there. That technique is called masking, by the way. There's nothing that needed to be masked for him because he's up front and center. Okay, so I'm just cleaning my koala. And the next one I'm going to do is the penguin. So I got my penguin on my block. But my koala is in my way there. So I'm going to take my koala cutout. And I'm going to line up my koala right over top of the stamped image like that. Okay. I'm going to ink up my penguin. Don't need to really press too hard. Just kind of tap, tap, tap in the ink and he's good to go. And then I just basically want to line him up wherever I think he fits. So I might move him over a little bit more than I had him there. So I'm just going to stamp down. Hold my koala so he don't lift up. And you now have a penguin that is in behind the koala's ear. Okay? And the penguin's not stamped on the koala part. Pretty neat. Okay, and you can do this with anything. Like just stamp out on a scrap piece of paper. You can do it on cardstock, but I find it makes it thicker. So when you're stamping over top to put your image in over top, you don't always get them lined up perfectly. So the thinner the paper, the better I find when you're doing your masking techniques. Okay, so that's why I used really thin, like just a piece of computer paper. Okay, so the next animal, actually the only animal I have left, is going to be this little cow. I'm going to put him on my block. Okay, he's on the block. So I have two animals I need to mask in order to get that cow in there. So I'm going to get this koala. I'm going to reline him back up. And then I'm going to take my penguin. Oh, so I move my koala. And I'm going to take my penguin. And it doesn't matter which order you put them in, because as long as they're masked and covering up already what's stamped there, that's what matters. So I could have put my penguin down first, then the koala. It doesn't really make a difference. I do have a piece of hair on this cow, so hold on a second. That could make a difference. So let me grab that. Okay. Okay, there we go. So let's re-ink that cow. The joys of having a husky. Sometimes you get husky fur everywhere when you least expect it. Okay. So I have my two guys masked, and then I'm just going to fit my cow in wherever I think he should go. I kind of had that guy tipped a little bit. I don't want him to cross ears with my other koala. So I'm just going to have him off-centered like that a little bit. And again, that's just personal preference on wherever you really want to put them. You can take off your little mask, guys. And then now you can see that cow is kind of tucked in right behind that little penguin and behind the koala. So that's kind of how you can get things in behind each other, or look like they're in behind each other. And then you have like the leftover pieces. So he's been stamped on a couple times, but I mean, he doesn't really matter because these guys just go in the garbage afterwards, right? So they're just kind of a placeholder so that you can stamp over top. So that's what those guys are. And then you kind of have we have the Etch A Sketch screen done. So let's get rid of the scrap paper. Let's get rid of these animals. Always tidy up my ink so I do not get that everywhere, including myself. And I kind of like to clean my stamps as I go, so I'm going to just clean the cow there and put him back. I have a bad habit if I don't put them back right when I'm doing them, they don't end up going back. So, and then I'm missing my stamps when it's time to use them. Okay, so this is good to glue on. And again, anytime you're gluing anything, that's really just personal preference on whether you want to use the tear and tape, whether you want to use the tape, the glue runner or the tape runner, liquid adhesive, whatever your preference is. And then I've just kind of lined this up in the middle. Nope, that's crooked. It's harder to see when it's working around the camera, but that looks better. Okay, so we'll stick that down. Then we have for the knobs. I'm just going to take a piece of scrap white. I'm going to take a 1-inch punch. And I'm just going to punch out. I don't want it to go flying. 2 handles or knobs. And then you have 2 knobs. And then you can put those right on there. I popped them up on this one. But I actually was thinking that it'd be really cute if these moved, like a real Etch A Sketch. So I have the spinners. These are not Stampin' Up. I got these from Amazon. But we're going to try adhering those. But before I do that, I want to actually do the embossing so that my knobs are not actually in the way with that. So those ones say happy birthday, sending love. There are other sentiments on here. You just kind of have to keep in mind what space you have. So I think I might just use hi friend for this one. Because I already have the happy birthday. So let's go with hi friend. We'll get that lined up on the stamp. Okay, there we go. I'm not sure if we've done, I think we've done a heat embossing video before, but just in case we haven't, let's do this. So I have my white embossing powder. Okay. Versamark, my embossing buddy, and my tray, of course. So, I'm going to just put it on the bottom. So I'm just going to rub with my heat embossing buddy. Take my Versamark. Tap, tap, tap. And I'm just going to line it up. Right like that. Okay. And I put it on a little bit on the side because I'm actually going to add the heart too. So I already used the embossing buddy. So I don't need to do it again. I'm just going to tap, tap, tap the heart in the ink. Or the Versamark, sorry. And stamp him down too. Okay, we'll do that in a second. I'm going to throw the card in the tray. Sprinkle the powder. Tap off the extra. We'll go one more, just make sure it's fully covered. Tap, tap, tap. We also have some more husky fur. Just knocking off the excess. Okay, perfect. So let's grab the heat gun. I'm actually just going to move this tray so we don't blow powder everywhere. Okay. Let's heat it up. Hopefully you can see this in the video. I don't know how well it works. where you can see it change color. Let's give it a try. Okay, so you can start to see the right part of the heart going. There we go. Alright, there we go. So we have Hi Friend in white embossed. Put our heat gun over there. Put that back. Okay, so let's put on our knobs. I'm just going to use some glue dots to do these. So I'm just going to rip off two here for a second. Grab one of these. And we're going to grab our pokey tool to take that off. We're just going to line this up wherever you think the knob should go. Hope this works. Place it down. Glue dot the top. Put them in. There we go. And you can see it already spinning. And we're going to take one of our white knobs and just going to center that right like that. I don't think it's centered. Let's see, it's not centered. Let's see if I can redo that here. There we go. And now it moves kind of like an Etch A Sketch would. So there's one. Let's grab two more glue dots and a little bit. Actually put it right here in the corner. I'm going to move that one up too in a second. But okay, and then let's put the second glue dot on top. Oh, that didn't come off. Glue dots are not my friend apparently today. There we go. Okay, let's do the second knob. And again, I'm just going to lift that up so I can get it kind of centered. Okay, that one looks a lot better. Let's see if I can get this one to... I put this one down too low. There we go. We're just going to grab... Sorry guys, one more glue dot. Put it on the bottom. Okay, and then let's get that added in. I put it right there on the bottom of that one. Okay, so there we go. And then we have the Etch A Sketch knobs that move. So similar to exactly how Etch A Sketch works. So that's kind of cool. So that's kind of an upgraded feature that I didn't include on the first one. You don't need to do that if you don't have them. They look great otherwise. I've seen a couple people do that, or a couple other people have done this card or have messaged me. They've actually cut out, die cut the space out for the screen and put the screen in behind. I didn't do that initially. You can also, I've seen where the knobs are circle stitched out, like die cut. You can do that too. It makes it a little bit more fancier. I kind of made my basic. I just added my screen to the top because then if you put it underneath, you'd have to put something kind of behind, or else you're going to have that gray piece showing back here, and I didn't want that. So I wanted it more clean back here and less cardstock to use that way. So yeah, I've just added it there, but it's completely up to you if you want to change the way that you do it. And again, like I said, you can add, you can elevate it, would make your knob spin, but you can just pop them up too. Like these ones just have dimensionals, and they look just as great. So yeah, that's how this card is. I've given all the measurements. So just a recap on this one, it is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 with the corners rounded. The gray piece is 3 by 4 1/4. The white is 5 1/4 by 3. and with rounded corners there as well. The knobs are hole punched at 1 inch, and we showed you the masking technique. So I hope you like the card. Have a great day.